So, hello folks, it's Tuesday again. Welcome back, y'all. So the Oscars came and went. Oh boy. It was evidently the smallest viewing audience ever recorded, which is surprising. I enjoyed it actually. A lot of people didn't, but then, hey, we're all as we're made. And Ruth and I usually get into our jammies and get our crocheting and knitting and sit and criticise everything and keep tweeting people. And Ruth's first husband, Paul Antonelli, was there in all his glory. He was the date of Diane Warren. They're very good friends. Unfortunately, Diane did not win. It was her 11th nomination, but she was great about it, and she's raring to go. She'll try again next year. And I thought the opening number was great. A lot of people said it was dreadful, it was over the top, but that's the good thing about it. It's choice, and I loved it.
It was all very haute couture, and meanwhile we were very Grey Gardens.
Yes, we were very Grey Gardens. Thank you, Ruth. Yeah.
Mother-in-law's sitting in bed covered in cats.
Really Grey Gardens in our jammies and fuzzy socks sitting on the end of my bed watching it. Martin always uses that opportunity to go slope off and watch some horror film, slimy things attacking each other, when he doesn't have to sit with us and listen to us pontificating about the whole business. But I mean, yeah, I know. But
we lost the war.
Oh, poor little Martin, they lost the war, but we don't talk about that too much.
They say in Liverpool, I ate them Germans, they bombed our
They
chippy.
bombed our chippy, which means our fish and chip shop, yeah. But prior to the Oscars, though, we had a lovely afternoon listening to a great performance of saxophone music by our friend Katja Riekeman. She was playing at a local restaurant, Gulp, at a lunchtime session, a brunch. It was really nice. So after that, we sort of tottered home and did the Oscar thing, which was very entertaining. My guest today will talk more about the Oscars because she is Mimi Chen, and she knows a lot about the Asian market and all of that stuff, but we'll jump into her expertise in a few minutes. So we've just survived a visit from our Aussie mate, Dr. Simon Mills. He lives in New York right now, and he's been out here for a few things. He even managed to squeeze in a recording session with Martin on his Geist album. So if you go to Martin's Facebook page, Martin Nethercutt, you'll see the lovely Dr. Simon playing keyboards upstairs and in his bare feet and his gin and tonic or whatever. But the two of them had a riot to stand up there, and it's going to be really great. Martin's got a very eclectic bunch of people on this second album of his trilogy, including Katja Riekeman and even moi, doing a little voiceover, but I probably won't be credited.
Okay, you're rambling on.
Oh, yeah. I'm rambling, yes.
We've got a rock star waiting here.
I
That's
know,
right.
I know.
No.
But you might remember seeing Nick Black on TeaFlix a couple of weeks ago. He'll be back to stay with us shortly for a few days because he's writing with a few people in LA. And then he's coming back in, I think it's March, to appear at the Mint again, but we'll let you know about that when it's happening. So I think I should just shut up now and get my lovely friend, Mimi Chen, to come on camera.
Ladies and
Mimi!
gentlemen, special
Yay!
guest, Debbie Brown.
Hello. Yes. Hello, Mimi. Good
Loaded
morning.
with
Tea.
tea.
Miss McCartney's tea, of course.
Miss
Plug, plug, plug.
McCartney's tea. Of course, I have to try the teas while I'm here.
Yeah,
That's
sure. Green tea. Yeah,
it's
good.
quite lovely.
Oh, jolly good. Quite lovely. And Mimi brought some beautiful cakes and scones and all kinds of stuff.
Bagels.
Bagels and cream cheese. You're the right kind
That's
of guest.
so
You can come
Asian,
in.
isn't it?
It's so Asian. It's also rather English. You always go with something when you go to see somebody. Take them a cake or a jelly or, some sandwiches or maybe
Some of us remember what being polite is, huh?
That's right, yeah, I know. Yeah, thank goodness. So anyway, tell us, how did you get your start in radio?
Oh, wow. We need,
It's
3
gone
days.
Okay,
talk
I've got
about
time,
that.
I've got time.
So I was in college, and one of my friends, this is a very long story, because he loved radio at that time. Everybody loved radio
Yes,
at that time,
I
right?
still do.
Because we didn't have the internet, we didn't have cell phones. What did we listen to? It was a radio.
Radio.
And that is why I think we're so much luckier than today's generation.
Yes,
because
they've missed it, haven't they?
what is the thing that binds us all together?
Mhm, yeah.
It's music.
Yes. Oh, yes.
So I was just, curious about the radio thing. I was at a college that had its own college radio station.
Oh.
So he said, let's go down and do radio. And the first few shows were on their little tiny AM station, which had like 2 watts or something, broadcast to the next door neighbors,
Yeah.
AM radio. And then he said, well, you have to get a license to be on FM. Those were the days when people actually had to take a test. And my college being in New Jersey, we had to take a train. Well, this guy, he studied for like a week, right? And I'm sitting there, I'm flipping through the book going, man, I don't know anything about this stuff.
Kilohertz and megahertz.
Yeah, something.
Exactly. Oh, God.
Foreign languages.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I looked at the book. Looking at it on the train ride. He had spent the whole week studying, so I take the test and I know I'm just sitting there going, yeah, this looks like a good answer. A, B, it's multiple choice. This looks like a good answer. I didn't even bother trying to do any formulas because I knew I was I'm lame at this. And I passed. And he didn't.
Oh, no.
And
Oh, dear.
was the thing is he studied for a week and I was the one who passed. So I got on the college radio station, which was actually a 50,000 watt radio station in New Jersey, which is actually considered a large radio station.
Which college was that?
Oh,
Princeton.
yeah.
Princeton? A college. Princeton. Excuse me.
Some sort of small town in New Jersey.
Wow.
So having that was the biggest fun in my life because obviously they had a fairly decent library, all vinyl, and I had the greatest fun. It's just all free form at that point in time, right? And I got a phone call, and it was from a local top 40 radio DJ. It's a station called WPST, and they broadcast out of Trenton. But their studios were in Princeton, so he invited me to come down and check them out. And we decided to trade in terms of I would teach him how to be an FM radio DJ, even though I was just some runty college kid, and he was actually knew a thing or two about radio. So he trained me actually to do radio, and he helped me make a tape. And with that tape, we marched to the program director of this top 40 station, and I landed a job. That was my first radio gig at WPST.
Great.
What Trenton makes, the world takes.
So they say, yes, that's right.
So from there, I started doing Sunday mornings and all sorts of odd hours because as the newbie, you get
the grunt work.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You get the overnights.
Yes.
You get not the best hours, but hey, when you're you're in your little teenager and you're doing radio you feel like the whole world is listening.
Sure.
One of our viewers says, Maureen says, NJ Radio worked at WOBM. Remember those days?
There's the W's. I love W's in front of call letters because it's W's are East Coast, and out here
It's K, right?
it's K.
K, that's right, yes.
So you would think that's weird. Wouldn't
Where's the
W
dividing
be-
line? Is it the Mississippi?
Somewhere thereabouts.
Because Nashville's WSM, right?
Yeah, there's W's in Chicago too. So it's fun. You can kind of guess where the station is,
Yes.
at least with the difference between K and W's.
Yeah.
But so from there on, I just thought, well, I was going to call around other radio stations. Suddenly, I became arrogant.
Well, you were young enough to be that, yeah.
You kind of
Think you know it all.
think
yeah.
I'm great.
Yeah.
I didn't get the face sandwich yet. Going, you suck.
Yeah.
Everybody was pumping me up, so I sent a tape to WMMR in Philadelphia, the big rock station,
Yeah.
and they hired me. That
Yay!
was
Well, you
the
must not
crazy
suck.
part.
Yeah, you must have been okay.
No, it was a matter of timing because it was run by a guy named Jerry Stevens, who is like a legend in the rock radio world. He was the guy who first came on and put the Marconi experiment on the radio. That was the
Oh.
first show to do freeform radio.
Yes.
Before all this programming nonsense came in, right?
Right.
Yeah. that's
Well, there was a little bit of pre-programming already there, but the freeform radio. See, that's the big argument in radio circles. Who started freeform? Because it was sort of a mass, mind meld of
Yeah.
everybody in radio.
Uh-huh.
Suddenly, you got the West Coast people who say that they did it
Yeah.
at KSAN,
Yes.
and then of course WMMR. And from there on, it was a whole conglomeration of radio stations
Yes.
called the Metro Media Station.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
So you had WNEW in New York, KMET in Los Angeles, KSAN in San Francisco, WMMS in Cleveland, WMMR in Philadelphia. So
Wow.
we're talking, we all did freeform radio
Yes.
really in those
Yeah, a
days.
lot of rivalry, no doubt, I bet.
Yeah, but we felt we were all sister stations.
Good,
So if
Yeah.
someone came in and they were from KMET, I felt okay. They're my sister.
That's nice.
Bonding.
There's so much rivalry now
I
because
know.
of
Yeah.
obviously, radio's gone to the internet and streaming, and people listen to it on
Right.
their iPods in the car from a stream, and
Well,
it's
right
just-
now there's
Yeah.
no jobs really. The whole syndication when Ryan Seacrest went national, everybody. I mean, like hundreds of DJs lost their job
Right.
because Ryan Seacrest took
I
their
see.
spot, right?
I see.
And that actually is still happening. A lot of syndication. A lot
So
of-
who was the forerunner of all that? Was it Casey Kasem? I mean, Rick Dees was national. Casey Kasem was national.
Casey Kasem did, the top 40.
That's right, when we first came to live here, they were the big boys,
And
weren't
then
they?
Shadow Stevens was syndicated, right?
Yeah, a lot of these guys are syndied. And now it's simulcast. Now people,
Yeah.
you have Sirius XM,
Yes.
and everybody has that in their cars. So it's all splintered now.
Yes.
We have too many choices.
Yes.
The millennials have a lot of choice. I'm quite proud of I have 2 daughters.
Yeah. I
I'm
bet.
quite proud of them musically. But
What are their musical aspirations?
they're
Oh, shouldn't
it's
I ask?
crazy stuff,
All genres.
Okay, before I go back into my radio career thing, but being the proud mommy, gotta brag about my kids because I failed as a mom. They both went in the music industry. Like, oh no!
Gotcha.
No doctors.
Why?
Gotcha.
Why?
Yeah.
So they're both singers. They are both on Spotify, so please follow them.
Indeed.
What are their names?
Izzy Spring
Okay.
and
Oh,
Aaliyah,
yes.
A-L-I-A.
Yes.
Although you could find Aaliyah easier if you go to Omar B Music, all one name.
Omar B.
O-M-A-R-B-E Music.
Okay, fine.
And Omar B Music
Got
is
that.
also a YouTube channel.
Right.
So Izzy is starting out. She's on a label that's being distributed by Universal, and
Yes, I've seen that.
Aaliyah is, well, she's kind of doing her own thing. And their music is this way.
Sure.
One is kind of into rap, and the
Yeah.
other one's a rocker girl.
Yeah.
So you
Yeah.
can figure out who is who.
Great. Yeah.
So anyway, I'm
That's
digressing.
Sorry, no, I
No, we'll
interrupted.
post links afterwards. I want to know more about
Yes,
them.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so back to the radio thing. So I was at WMMR in Philadelphia and having a great time working with Jerry Stevens, who this time at WMMR, it was the second time as program director because he actually, did the Marconi experiment and then ran off somewhere. And radio people we live a nomadic existence.
That's right, I know.
Most people, they're traveling around here and there in different cities.
Yeah.
And so for me, I was in Philly, and it was a great time. I was a really great time.
What years were this?
Oh, well, late 70s.
Oh, great.
And what did you do after Philly? What happened next?
Okay, so from Philadelphia, I went to San Francisco, where I worked at KSAN. Now,
Oh, yeah.
KSAN was a sister station to WMMR, and I have to thank Jerry Stevens. Thank you, Jerry, because he just passed away. Having that big break between, you know, Tom Taylor hiring me at WPST and then WMMR, I suddenly had a resume.
Right.
And
Yes.
you know, this whole radio career was by accident, because
It seems like it, yeah.
it was. I had no clue that I suddenly was starting a radio career.
No. Amazing.
It
Yeah, when
was
you look
all-
back, yeah, absolutely, yeah.
And I think now, you know, now with all this consciousness about the Me Too's and the racial identities and stuff like that, I work with some very unusual people who they were colorblind when it came to talent.
Yeah.
They just hired me. They knew me from a tape. Of course, with the last name Chen, obviously it might be a dead giveaway. I don't know. But, you know, nobody in those days, there wasn't, when it came to radio, a lot of people
Really
was
good.
like, you know, you kind of think, well, how do they sound like on tape? And I think I was decent, you know.
Yeah, well, you must have been. Yeah.
And what kind of music were you playing? I mean, did radio stations have vertical genres and subgenres like they do today, or was it just general?
Remember, it was, well, at KSAN, it was still a little bit freeform. Freeform in the fact that the programmers would find vinyl to pick up. You know, those were still vinyl days. So it was, okay, we want to emphasize these 3 albums this week.
I see.
You know, the new, I don't know.
Judy
Those-
Collins or
Right, whoever was
Yeah.
releasing a record in those days, because at that point we're talking early 80s, so
Fleetwood Mac?
yeah.
Yeah,
I
see.
And I I was like the last rock DJ to work at KSAN, because KSAN was the legendary rock station there,
Yeah.
but then they changed to country.
Oh,
Whoa!
big change. Whoa.
In San Francisco, does anybody listen to country music in San Francisco?
Well, it's all, you know,
That's
Bakersfield.
Isn't that really crazy? A
That
crazy
just doesn't
thought.
strike
It's
me
the
as
Bay
much.
Area, and suddenly they
Yeah,
turned
country.
country.
Yeah.
No.
And
Mm-hmm.
we had a very fun staff, and I have to admit that the company that bought us was Malrite, and they were very good, because usually when a new company comes in, they blow out everybody.
Yes.
You lose your job overnight.
Yeah.
But they said, okay, we want to test you guys and see who we can keep
Yes.
as country music DJs. Suddenly, all these rock DJs, and we're doing the Billy Bob, you know, thing where we're all
Also,
starting
y'all,
to twang.
y'all,
Yeah,
y'all.
because
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
going to be, you know, from, who was it, Dusty Rhodes?
From Tennessee.
Dusty was going on. Everybody started twanging on the radio. It's like, hey, y'all.
Well, I started out today by saying it's Tuesday, hello, y'all. I didn't know that.
You were picking up the
Must have
psychic
been the
stream.
vibe.
Yes,
Yeah, absolutely.
absolutely.
Yeah.
So we started twanging, and of course we got the memo. Now actually this guy did have a twang. He's like, I know that you folks are trying to fit in, but you don't have to twang so much.
Oh, lovely. How interesting.
It was fun.
Less twanging, more playing, right?
Yeah.
Less twanging. Actually, you know, in those days they weren't so concerned about the yakking. Nowadays it's okay, cut the chatter, because we have tested and made and figured out that that's not good for the ratings. Is so
But
much
they
chatter.
they run test groups
Yes,
on every
they.
darn thing, don't they? Yes.
They control everything.
Yeah, I know.
The algorithm.
Yeah.
They're all making radio stations into automated stations.
Oh.
I won't mention names.
No, Jane. That's my girl. Yeah.
It's like, we want real people
Yes.
on the radio.
Well, maybe do you think because radio has really deteriorated from a digital quality, not audio quality, but a quality standpoint of being local and relatable. Do you think that's why all these podcasts are so popular? Because people are swinging back to content and people and conversation and communication.
I kind of like that idea because there's a lot of theories. One is that people are just looking for different information in general.
Yeah.
I mean, the number one reason that people listen to radio actually is supposed to be information and music second.
Yes.
So, I mean, the two things, what are people looking for, even on the internet versus radio?
Right.
It's music or it's information.
Yep.
Conversation, validation,
That's
connection.
right. Yes.
Conversation can
Real.
be
Yeah.
good
reality.
if you know they're consistently funny, I mean, funny is always works with people.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, I've never been funny though on the radio.
Oh, you wait till I do your hair and makeup.
Hang with us, kid. We'll make you funny.
I actually only have one joke in my entire repertoire.
Are you going
Go
to
on
tell
then.
us? Go on.
This is my one joke.
Yes. Ta-da, roll drums.
Da-da-da. Two peanuts walk in a bar and one was assaulted.
Oh, Jesus, maybe.
And the crowd
Yeah.
goes.
I know. I'm sorry.
I'm going to say...
But you can't tell that anymore because peanut allergies and everything these days.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Well, no, I can still tell it.
Yeah. No,
They
I'm
only
gonna
walked in the bar.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get a second job, save up, and buy you another joke. How's that?
Thank
Yes,
you.
okay,
Thank
fine.
you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Actually, I actually think that, I know that joke's not original either.
Oh, none of mine are. I mean, I tell things these days that my father told me, and he died in 1937. I'm 90, and I tell these jokes, and people laugh. And I knew them in my childhood.
Well,
So
what's
they're
old
so
is new
old.
again.
Yeah, so
Exactly.
what's old is new again.
Well, it's
Yeah.
a sign it's a really good joke then.
Yeah, that's right. It's lived through the ages.
Yeah.
But we're also politically correct, and we mustn't offend anybody. Oh, screw that.
You're right.
Sorry.
Gosh,
Sorry, screw
what
it.
really
Yeah.
annoyed me, this whole politically correct, was that,
Yeah.
they were all getting down on that Christmas song. I'm like,
Oh,
Oh, maybe
yes.
it's cold outside.
yeah.
Oh, I know. Come on.
That's a classic.
I know.
Come on.
Yes.
A whole bunch of radio stations banned it because it was too rapey. I mean,
Oh, I know.
he won't let her go. He's kidnapping her in the house. It's kidnap
Like,
song.
oh my gosh.
Really?
There is a point where the politically correct can get a little bit too extreme.
Absolutely, yeah.
That's when I
being
sit there.
English, we are so used to insulting each other. I mean, she and I were in a bar, which I know you'll find hard to believe. We were getting up to leave a bar, and she said, "Come on, what's your name?" And a woman in the next booth said, "That's her mother, and she doesn't even know her name." She said, "Come on." Yeah. I mean, if you're English, especially from Liverpool, you're born with a sense of humour.
You have
Like
to.
the Australians, it's just,
That's good.
yeah, it's just part of
Well,
your
if you look
DNA.
out the window at the weather, you need a sense of humor.
Yeah. I just wanted to say.
Yeah.
It's crap weather. You're driving on the wrong side of the road, and mostly you hammered.
And the,
So,
food,
I mean,
and the
like,
food's crap.
yeah.
And there's no...
What is with the English food?
Oh, it's fine.
Non-existent.
better now.
It's Indian food.
I went to England and I was like going, there is nothing I can eat here. What is going on?
where did
Indian
you go
food?
then, Mimi?
Indian food, probably.
Indian food, yeah.
Indian food.
Yeah, 3 years in a row to the World Culinary Olympics, Britain has sent chicken tikka masala as its representative dish. I'm not kidding.
Yeah.
I
No,
did,
that's true.
I did have
Yeah.
that fondness for the British baking show, though.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
I know we had Jim O'Hare, the comedian from Parks and Rec.
Yes.
We had him as a guest here recently, and he said, "I have a guilty secret. I'm addicted to the British baking."
The Great Britain.
Okay, fine. That's all right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Funny,
it's
isn't it?
funny.
I
And,
like.
and it's the classic thing is they're all trying to make these fabulous souffles and French madeleines and everything, and they're in a friggin' tent and it's pissing with rain, and it's all terribly tickety boo. It's all fine.
Frightfully, Maggie Smith.
I know,
And the
what's
hair's
up?
like,
The British baking show making French things.
yeah.
I know what's wrong with a buckle and a crumble for God's
I know,
sake.
what's wrong with this picture?
I do.
And what's wrong with the frozen stuff you can buy at Trader Joe's?
Exactly.
Exactly.
Oh, I love Trader Joe's.
I do too.
Trader Joe's, are you listening? I'll give
wanna
you the address.
sponsor this
Yeah.
show.
Yes,
Yeah.
right. They should.
They
So anyway, listen, tell me, if you haven't done radio, is there anything else you would like to have done? Well, I know you've acted, haven't you?
Yes.
You'd like to be an actress.
I still want to be
She's
an
acting
actress.
as though she's enjoying herself. Right now. massive.
Aw,
mega performance.
Angie, I don't think anyone has to act around you.
Oh, he does.
Oh,
He has-
okay,
has to
Martin
put-
does.
Martin, my son-in-law.
That's another $100 I owe you, thank you.
Do you take PayPal?
Venmo.
Yeah, Bevmo. Bevmo, fine.
Venmo.
One Venmo, one Venmo.
Yeah, I take
One
Medicare.
sprinkle.
Yeah.
You know, I will say, if it weren't for my kids, I would have no idea what some of this stuff means.
No,
Like
I
the
wouldn't either
Venmo.
without these two. Yeah, yeah.
Like, what the heck is Venmo? And my daughter's like going, everybody like uses Venmo. Mom, you've got to get Venmo. Okay, I'm getting Venmo. And then last night we were at a dinner and everybody's going, I don't know how to divvy up this bill. And she goes, well, what we do is one person pays the bill and everyone else Venmos her. So of course people left. And I was left with the
Stuck
bill.
with the bill, no
I'm
feelings.
going, I
Story
don't
of my
think they
life.
have Venmo.
Yeah.
Story of my life. So tell us more about your acting. What's your
Well,
story?
my one claim to fame, and this is sad. This is so sad.
Oh, violence, please.
So I auditioned for this role. It was a kind of hush-hush project, and I got the role. It's supposed to be recurring sitcom network show, CBS.
Wow.
And I'm going, yes,
Nailed it.
yeah.
And
It was canceled after 2
Oh.
episodes. Oh, and of course, I don't appear until episode 9.
so you're on the cutting room floor.
I am definitely on some sort of floor somewhere.
Oh, that's nice to know. That's another
Probably
career.
more the round basket.
Oh, God.
Sad. At
Oh,
least,
what
you
a
know, they paid me to shoot it, but
Yeah.
it'll never
But
see
after
the
you've
light
told
of day.
everybody I'm going to be in,
Yes.
and you're not.
Of course,
Oh,
and I
no, yeah.
bragged on
Sure.
Facebook,
Yeah,
bragged to all
sure.
my relatives, I got this recurring role in a sitcom. It was called We Are Men, and it
Of course
had
it was.
Jerry O'Connell, Cal Penn, Tony Shalhoub.
Oh.
It was
Big deal.
cute. It was cute.
Yeah.
But I think they were too happy. I think, you know, if you want to do comedy, the characters have to be miserable and
Yeah.
mean.
It's like,
Like
what's it called?
Seinfeld.
Yeah.
Seinfeld, yes, exactly.
Yeah, or like Charlie is to Alan on 2.5 Men.
Yeah, they have to
I mean,
be
the casting
mean.
of those two is brilliant, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. And
So-
how they got away with that script, we still watch reruns.
Mm-hmm.
In these days of correctness, it's just amazing.
I know.
It's still entertaining. Well
Very
written,
entertaining. Yeah. I love watching reruns of things.
Yeah.
That's why we all love Netflix so much.
Oh, yes.
That's right.
Can watch things over and over and
Yeah.
over again.
Yeah, I know.
I love that screen that comes on. Are you still watching?
Yes, I do. Of course I am. Go away.
Like episode 5 of a series.
I know.
Ted Sarandos is sitting there with a big screen going, is Martin still really watching that crap at 4 o'clock in the morning?
Well, yeah, I sleep in snatches. If I'm waking up in the middle of the night, I'll switch on Netflix. And it's just amazing. And then in the morning when I waken up, I can't remember. I think, oh, what was it? I must tell Ruth about what was it I watched in the night. But
Yeah,
that's one of
because
the joys
sometimes
of
we have
being
three
90.
viewer accounts on the Netflix account.
Yeah.
Are you watching as Martin, Ruth, and Angie? And of course, I say to Angie, "Oh, go in as me because it's already bookmarked on the list." So I don't know which episode because we both watch as me, and so I don't know.
I'm on
Episode
episode
5.
8, she's on 5.
She's on 3.
I
Who's
did
on
the same
first?
thing at home. You open up your account. It's what is all this horror stuff doing?
Right.
I never watch horror.
Yeah.
No, it's like one of my kids loves horror.
Oh, yeah.
And
Send her over here, and we'll show her our American Express bill.
That's horror. Yeah.
Yeah, Angie and I share an Amazon account.
Oh, that's it.
Because, she can't be bothered with the credit cards and all that stuff. So the data that's been mined by Amazon must be in a psychological study
Evolved
group over
somewhere.
there. That like, okay,
Absolutely.
wait a minute. Doris Day, and then the last days of Adolf Hitler. Followed by Dimmu Borgir, black metal from Iceland.
Followed by Betty White. Yeah.
Followed by a 365-day cat calendar.
Calendar, yeah.
Amazon must be going, what the?
What
is this person?
Martin never does.
Yeah, exactly.
I know, yeah.
oh, Martin, I could tell he's a cat person.
Yeah.
Yeah, oh
He
yeah.
looks
yeah.
like a cat guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, he lives with a couple.
Well, dogs are just too obedient. Dogs are just like, you're useless. You know, basically. No, if you wouldn't feed
You're
them, they
gonna
wouldn't
cause
know.
some troubles there.
They won't know.
I love all animals, but
Yeah.
dogs are a lot more work.
Yeah.
They are.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they
they have
are.
to be walked. Yeah.
But I like cats when they're really nice.
Uh-huh.
Oh, they're nice when they want to be.
Yeah.
That's the great
If
thing.
cats could text you back, they wouldn't.
Right.
When they're hungry or they want something.
No, the best one is if cats could know how to work a can opener, they wouldn't need
Oh,
us
they wouldn't
anymore.
need us.
No, they don't.
Well, Ruth and Martin went to a big charity event on Saturday night, was it? And Ruth bid for a teddy bear, which she brought home for me. And when they came home late and I got up and listened to all their stories and took the teddy bear to bed, and suddenly both cats are in the bed sniffing the teddy bear. And I said, that's mine, put the sheet over him. And every night he's on the bed, and every night since they've been in there sniffing around.
The
Yeah.
cat
Competition.
Yeah, maybe it's dipped in catnip or something.
Maybe
yeah,
there
or
was something else
competition.
in there aside from cat.
Yeah, you never know.
Well, you know what they say, dogs have owners, cats have staff.
That is right.
That's true, yeah. What do you have in the way of animals?
We
apart from your
have-
husband?
We have 2 cats, a dog, and a bunny.
A bunny. Oh.
Oh, the bunny's cute.
Indoor bunny?
Yes, indoor bunny,
Oh.
but we of course separate everybody. We're not quite sure what the combination would be.
No.
The cats are upstairs,
Yeah.
the dog is downstairs,
Yeah.
and the bunny has her own little pen.
Oh.
It's funny, you know. I would go in the cat zone or the dog zone or bunny zone.
Ruth always hankers after having a sloth.
I want a sloth.
Oh, aren't
They're
they
so
lovely?
cute.
Oh, they're beautiful.
And they only poop once a week.
Oh, but when they do,
Bonus.
oh boy.
Bonus
Our
point
English are
swap.
back to pals again.
This is why this is why I refuse to own a really big dog.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, oh
Is
sure.
the output.
Yes.
It's like just
Exactly.
too large.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
southbound coming through.
I mean,
Yeah.
you know, I try to be a responsible dog owner. I pick up after my dog, but it's much nicer and better when the dog is a small dog.
A small
Yeah.
dog, exactly.
Small dog,
Yes.
smaller
So,
output.
You would think she was British because we're talking about
Poop.
Poop.
Let's switch topic, talk about Parasite.
Yes.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
Parasite.
Tell us your reaction.
You know, that was the thing, was I announced to my friends, for those of us who've been big fans of Asian dramas, and I have to admit, I got my love of Asian drama from my dad, believe it or not. And my dad, he just passed away, so I have to remember him. He, for years and years on the internet, he would comb the internet and find these sketchy websites that were broadcasting Korean dramas. And I would go home and I'd sit there and I'd laugh at him, like, why are you watching these Korean dramas? Because, you know, there's always a lot of screaming and crying on these Korean dramas, so I have no idea what they're talking about,
Yeah.
because, you know, it's all in Korean.
Yeah.
And my dad is Chinese, but I guess they had translations for Chinese anyway.
Subtitles.
He could understand.
Yeah.
Well, now begins Netflix. Netflix translates some of these K-dramas with English subtitles.
Yes,
so
that's right.
suddenly I'm watching them, and then suddenly the entire family is watching K-dramas. Why? Because they are awesome. They are
Great.
just
Wonderful.
they are
Interesting.
amazing.
Yeah.
And I think the reason being is because we were having a discussion about, you know, Hollywood. Hollywood, they're scared. They have to produce profits. So what do? They go back and recycle some old title.
Toy Story
Let's
4.
remake
Yeah.
this
Yeah,
movie.
sure.
Let's do
Toy
a
Story
live
11,
action
yeah.
Lion King. Let's do a live action Mulan.
A Star is Born version.
Version
let's
4,
redo
yeah.
A Star is Born. Let's redo West Side Story.
Yeah.
Because we're too scared to do anything original.
Yeah.
Because if we do, it can flop big.
That's right.
You know? And
Yeah.
I mean, even Star Wars is not prone toward a lot of
No.
whining and crying. I mean, that whole thing about, you know, when what's his face took over. That's a whole controversy over.
It's getting to my age now. She's forgetting names.
I've forgotten. It was long ago. I lost my brains back in, you know, college. Cause, or as one of my friends said, if it weren't for flashbacks, I would have no memory whatsoever.
I like it.
That's good.
I
So
like that.
anyway, so the whole, you know, Korean drama with my dad, And finally, I understand why he loved the genre so much. But here's the interesting part is, so for those of us who were big fans of the K-dramas, and I'm at that point where I recognize actors. Because when you first watch Asian dramas, I can make that old joke about we all look alike. They kind of do all kind of look alike.
Well, I think it's the hair and makeup and the styling and the wardrobe, because a lot of that has to do with...
Well, it's also unfamiliarity. We're so used to, in America, we're used to watching TV with a certain look and mostly...
Yeah.
Caucasian actors.
Yes, that's right.
Right.
Yeah.
But now I'm seeing all these Asian actors, and they all have the similar look. And then now I'm at the point where I can watch one and go, that's blah blah blah. That's another actor. Blah blah blah.
Yeah.
So, or it's like when I went into an Indian restaurant, and then I'm hearing nothing but sitar music, and then the owner of the restaurant. And it all sounds the same to me because I'm sitting there.
Yeah.
It just sounds like sitar music,
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And the owner of the restaurant comes over and she starts singing along, and I'm like going, well, you know this piece? She goes, oh, that's a very popular piece. So she's like, that's a very popular song, and she's singing along. I'm like going, what? That sounded like the song I heard 10 minutes ago.
Yeah, well,
and then I realized it's because I am
to
just
conditioning.
Not tuned in.
not familiar with it. And the same with the Asian drama. Once you start getting into it and you start like getting to know some of the actors, it's like, hey, okay, this now it all looks different. They all start to look different to me now too.
Yeah.
So
Interesting.
it's a great thing. And so when Parasite won, I just thought, wow, this is great.
Yeah.
Because the Oscars really should be an international
They should,
event.
indeed.
Right.
Especially with Netflix opening up the world to
That's
like,
right.
I was watching a Norwegian
Exactly.
horror series.
Exactly.
And I'm like, oh, that's the same guy from Lillehammer. Now I'm recognizing
Yeah,
their
you're
talents.
recognizing
Exactly.
their
Like you did,
talent.
like, yeah.
Yeah.
And then, it's really great because, the other day I walk in and my daughter's watching some Spanish drama and she's there. They've got some real good horror stuff. Like that's the horror.
Really? Yeah.
She's the horror fanatic.
Yes. Yeah.
And
I was laughing on Sunday night when Bong Joon-ho kept getting up for his first Oscar, then his second Oscar, then his third Oscar. And
Nice.
He's obviously, he speaks a little bit of English, but and his poor translator girl kept
Oh,
having
she
to
did a
say,
wonderful job,
okay,
didn't
thank
she?
you very much, but I must go get drunk now. I'm going to drink till tomorrow.
I'm going to
I
drink
don't know.
more.
It was like, stop giving me Oscars, you're cutting into my drinking time.
We're going to leave the Han behind now.
He just wanted a barrel of shoju and a bunch of beer, It was like, let him out of
cute
it.
though.
Yeah.
He probably didn't even expect to win, and that's
No.
why he was talking about
you're
drinking
sitting
so
in a
much.
room with Martin Scorsese and Quentin Tarantino,
Yeah.
and you win Best Director?
I know.
Oh, I know.
yeah.
He probably was. Oh my
my
God.
God.
Yeah.
He was probably looking for Warren Beatty and Faye Dunaway and which envelope they'd opened. You sure you got this right?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
But it's been a big year for Korea with not just with Parasite, but BTS were the
Oh,
first
yes. Those kids.
band
BTS.
were on the
Yes.
Grammys. But the Grammy has a rule: you have to have been nominated,
Right.
and they never have been. But they made it on the Grammy stage, so I don't know how that happened, but there they were in all their glory, and they were great.
Today's show brought to you by Samsung, who reminds you.
Yes,
Yeah.
like all things Korean.
Yeah.
We'll see you at the Mongolian barbecue. Oh, the Korean barbecue. Sorry, barbecue.
I know.
It's funny. So for a long time, I was. You go from Korean drama, and then I was checking out the Chinese drama because after all, being Chinese, you want to
Of course.
look at what's going on
Yeah,
in the other,
sure. Yeah.
in the one that's
Happy
supposed
New
to
Year,
be-
by the way.
Oh, thank you.
Was it Gong Chun Fat Ho? I think.
恭喜发财 or 新年快乐 or
Okay.
I know I said
Gokhae
Bola
Fat
Fun.
Choi is
Gong
like
Hei Fat Choi,
Cantonese
but you have to do
version.
that one, right?
Right.
Yeah.
I have no idea. Honestly.
Gong Hei Fat
Yeah,
Choi.
we went to a Chinese restaurant down
On-
in the village here on
The
New Year's
25th.
Day. Yeah. And I got the waiter to tell me what to say, so Ruth filmed it right away.
Good job.
So
Yeah.
So it could be
And just
on-
4 syllables of Chinese.
Yeah. One has to be international.
I used to be 4 syllables when I was a kid.
Yeah.
That's a sad part about
Yes.
growing up in America. My parents were at that, you know, at that time, and I've met other people my generation,
Yeah.
the same boat, where
Yeah.
their parents came from another country,
Yes,
and they were so scared that their child would not learn English
I see.
that they didn't speak the language, the native language to the kids.
Oh,
So I grew up
yeah.
speaking English, and now
Yeah.
I keep telling my parents,
Yeah.
why?
But you know, when children are so young, they can learn anything, can't they? Their brains
That's
are
right.
so receptive when
Yeah.
they're very young.
Well, that's the thing,
You know,
you know,
talking
they should
more than one
they should
language.
teach English or other languages,
languages.
to like 2-year-olds.
Absolutely.
agree.
Yeah.
My our friends Barry Coffing and Megan, they full-time jobs and had kids, and they had a Nicaraguan lady Coco that used to run their lives for them. And the kid Jordan and Chandler spoke better Spanish by the time they were 4 than they did English.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mum and Dad would come home from work and the kids would talk to them
They'd
in
all be
Spanish.
yakking. But
So
it was funny
great.
when they
What?
want, and still to this day, when they want to get something over on the parents or they want to talk about what they're buying them for Christmas behind their back, they speak Spanish. And the parents don't.
Mum and Dad have
I
no
know,
idea.
it's great.
Yeah.
Their secret language.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, I speak 2 languages, English and rubbish. Oh, and Scouse, that's true,
Scouts,
isn't it?
yes,
Yeah.
indeed.
Yeah.
So fast forward to today. Tell us about 88.5.
Okay, so I'm now working at Sundays. Took my show Peace, Love, and Sunday mornings from 100.3 The Sound when
Yeah.
that disappeared
Yeah.
and went Christian. Now I'm at 88.5,
Yes.
which is a non-commercial radio station. And again, it's great to be kind of back in a freeform
Yes.
format.
Yeah, I'm sure.
I mean, actually, when I was at the Sound, I did fairly freeform. My boss never complained about me deviating because he understood that, you know, I had a good grasp of what kind of audience I wanted to appeal
Yes.
to. And, but, you know, most stations are heavily programmed. And what I mean
Yeah.
by that, they're
Pre-programmed.
pre-programmed with a computer. So the 88.5 is not, even though they do have a lot of emphasis tracks. There's a lot of freedom going on there.
Good.
But also, I just love their philosophy. We're back into discovery again. We're trying to help break new artists and local artists. So there's a lot of
have we got
emphasis.
news for you?
Yeah.
yes,
So
we have.
emphasizing the new local artists, emphasizing just people doing new work.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of. You really have to be adventurous to listen to that station because, you know, a lot of it can be very unfamiliar.
Yes.
But,
You have to have an open
Well, it
mind.
wasn't everything when it first started.
Yeah.
yeah, but
The first time you hear something is always the first time you hear something.
But see, here's the deal. This is why when you turn on the radio stations in Los Angeles and other markets, you will hear nothing but very familiar music. It's because they have discovered that the ratings are better if the music is super, super familiar.
Yes.
And that to me is very sad.
It is. They're not willing to take a chance.
Yeah, I always loved discovering new music and new artists. And I always prided myself of being one of those DJs that helped discover new artists. I was one of the first people to put on, like, you know, Chris Isaac and Primus in the Bay Area when I worked in San Francisco. And when I was at WMMR, you know, I was just a teenager there and interviewing the brand new artist of the day, which is like Blondie, Talking
Oh
Heads.
my goodness.
And I remember Blondie, that she was Deborah Harry. She was so cute. She ran down the hall after we did our interview, and she ran down the hall. She burst into Jerry's office and says, "How old is she? 13?"
You probably were.
You know.
Isn't that great memories?
Do
though?
you see a renaissance of that freeform radio coming back when the computers do everything and AI takes over and we are all behaviorally
Singular.
adjusted?
You know what? The thing is, the internet is a lovely thing in terms of having exploded in terms of giving everyone a voice,
Yes.
a channel, and yet there are too many choices. That is the problem with everybody nowadays. It's
Yeah.
not like, you know, in the past, we only had radio to consume our music. And as a result, people a certain age, when I was in college, we all listened to the same music. It was all rock.
Yeah.
And now it's splintered. You
Yes.
know, you got all the offshoots. You have the hip hop. You now have
That's right.
you know, people who like soul, who likes jazz, who likes blah blah blah, and that's all on the internet now, and it's great, and yet that doesn't give that is splintered music listening so much now. So
But the artists don't make any money on Spotify. You get .00000
oh,
whatever.
I
it is
know, it's
of a
horrible,
penny.
and I think there is a movement to try to get Spotify to increase the earnings to
Yes.
It's
the
crazy. I mean,
artists.
one of the we have an iFans Records has we have a little tiny indie label through our ifans.com. But we got some pretty big acts, and one of them I used to write. I mean, they had an '80s hit. One of them I used to write them a check every
Quarter.
every quarter. No, yeah, bi-monthly it was.
Monthly,
In those
yeah,
days,
that's
we do
right,
it
yeah.
quarterly now.
Originally.
Bi-monthly for $5,000 or $6,000 for 85% of whatever we charge 15 for marketing and accounting and currency translation and all that
iTunes
stuff.
downloads.
iTunes downloads. And so I would every 2 months I would send them $5,000 or $6,000. Every 3 months now I send them $400.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Oh, your
It's
heart just
unbelievable.
breaks.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
So how is anybody ever
Who
going to
knows?
quit the day job and make a living?
Nobody.
No.
It's
Again,
hard.
it's the domain of maybe the lucky few, maybe the few who go super viral like Billie Eilish. You
Yeah.
know?
Yes.
And she appeals to a certain age category.
Yeah,
and
sure.
Very young.
Yes.
Um,
She's 18, isn't she? Yeah.
Yeah. Now I think when she first appeared, she was more like 16 or something.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm.
But everybody thinks she came out of nowhere, and the truth is, her brother, who is the producer,
Phineas. Yeah.
I believe he was like a cast member of Glee, so
He
there
had
was,
some connections at
he had
least.
some
Yes.
help. You know, I'm pretty sure they had some
Yes.
help on the internet.
Yeah.
But I won't diss her the talent. I think she's
Oh,
lovely.
yes.
She
Yeah.
has a very distinctive sound. When you turn it on, it's like that's Billie
You know it's
Eilish.
her.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's the
that's
hardest thing, isn't
Yeah.
it, for a new band to find a branded audio sound.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's you hear that one George Harrison Beatle chord. It's the Beatles.
Right.
Forever.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's funny because
Hard
I
Day's
turned
Night.
on 88.5. I was driving around yesterday, and my husband's sitting there going, it sounded like somebody, was listening to too much Eddie Vedder. And I said, honey, it's the new Pearl Jam. He goes, oh. That is Eddie Vedder.
That's funny.
is funny.
Yeah.
But the new Pearl Jam kind of has a talking head sound. It's funny.
Well, this has been delightful. Tell folks, Mimi, where they can find you on radio and on Facebook and online and all that good stuff.
Well, I do have a Facebook page, Mimi Chen Fun. I frequent Angie's page.
Thank you.
Facebook.com/Mimi Chen Fun, or on Twitter, it's Mimi _ that little line that goes
On the
underneath,
bottom. Yeah.
and the sound. So that's, and then on Instagram, DJ Me. So
Okay.
it's
M-I-M-I.
M-I-M-I-M-I. And,
Me.
and of course, follow my kids on Spotify. Izzy Spring,
Yes. Oh, I have done.
Aaliyah,
Yes. Good. Wonderful.
Omar B Music.
Do you have anything you want to sell or want to plug?
I want to sell your teas.
Oh,
Okay.
This is
Oh.
McCartney Teas, and
Jolly.
I hear she has a new book.
That's my
And
dear.
this has been wonderful.
Oh,
because
lovely. Thanks, Mimi.
Normally, I'm the one interviewing, so
Yeah.
I have been trying to refrain myself from
Oh, no, it's been
asking
lovely.
about your new book.
Oh.
Plug.
Plug. Don't refrain.
Well, maybe you can put a word in at 88.5 and somebody can ask her about it on there. You never know.
Exactly.
Oh, yes.
We will definitely get
Because I am
Angie.
shameless when it comes to self-promotion.
Oh, you're wonderful.
I've gathered by now. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for sharing your time with us. And folks, we'll be back next Tuesday. And from Mimi Chen and from Angie, bye-bye.